All right, I want to look at the next tool or the other tool that I think is kind of important if you're making a sandbox from scratch, and that is add detail. So I initially made this sandbox on a 1 foot by 1 foot grid. So I want to open this up, and there's a few areas that I think I want to start to refine and add a little bit more detail. I want to be able to sculpt this a little bit cleaner so it's not so jaggedly geometric. If I just select my add detail tool, I'm gonna select this face first, actually no, not gonna select the face. We'll get into selecting faces in a second. I'm gonna start raw with my add detail tool selected, nothing else selected, and then I'm gonna move around on the face of my new sandbox terrain shape. If I click here in the center, what it's doing is it's actually breaking this into even smaller pieces. And it probably would help if I turned on view hidden geometry so I could actually see these lines as I'm moving around. But notice wherever I click on these faces, it's actually adding that detail, and it's breaking up the space around. So I'm able to kind of clean it up a little bit, if that makes any sense. And it's creating these new little peaks wherever I want, wherever it is that I click. So this takes a little bit of trial and error, and it's by no means very, very intuitive at the beginning. So I'm just clicking and creating new faces. Even if I click in the middle of this face, it's going to now create a new little corner face. So that's one way to do it. Let me go ahead and turn off view hidden geometry for a second. Okay, so I've kind of sculpted that area a little bit up. Now let's say I want to do the same thing, but this time I want to just get it done a lot faster and break up these planes into 4 planes instead of 1. So I'm going to click, I'm just holding shift down so I can make multiple selections, and I'm double clicking on all of these faces. Now that I've got them selected, I'm going to go and I'm going to hit add detail. So I click on add detail there. And it'll take a moment. The more you select, the longer it will take. Sometimes, if I was to select this whole thing, it potentially could crash the program, or it would just take a little while. So I've just selected a little bit here. Now I can go back with my smooth tool, and I've got a little bit more facets here. Now keep in mind, the more facets you have, the heavier the model you're going to have, because you're adding polygons to your file. But this is a good way. I'm going to go down to 3-foot radius. Actually, let's go down to 1 foot so that I can really get kind of a tight hold on some of these little areas. So this is a good way to enhance one little spot if that's what you're looking to do. Okay, let's say that I've decided this is exactly how I want this shape to look. I've got my weird kind of organic shape done. The last thing I would do if I was presenting this, or if I wanted to kind of clean this up, is I would select the entire thing, and then I would go to Window, Soften Smooth, Soften Edges, Soften Smooth Edges. So if you look at Window, it's called Soften Edges, but once you pull it up, it's for some reason it says Soften Smooth. I've got the whole thing selected. I'm going to if I drag my cursor all the way down to 0, it's going to be just like it was at the beginning. If I start to drag it all the way up to 180 degrees, it's going to soften all the way. So this is giving me my organic looking shape now. If I triple click on it, I can still see all the faces. And inevitably you get a couple little lines left over. What I do with this is I just select them and hide them. I don't want to delete them, because if I delete them, chances are I'm actually deleting geometry. So I'm just going to select and hide all of these little bits that are still left over. And if I'm working in just this model, and I plop this model, if I plop this new terrain into a different model and try to unhide, those lines won't come back unless I open the group up. All right, so that is basically how you work with create a from scratch sandbox tool.